Alright. Hi everyone. My name is Ivana Mahialani Hall, and I did my project on the oil spill on Oahu. To give you an introduction of what happened, there was a ship that sunk about 7.5, oh no, 2.5 miles off of Kalaeloa, also known as Barber's Point. It happened earlier January this year. There's about 11 passengers on board the abandoned ship, and some people who were already out in the ocean got picked some people up and took them back to shore, and the Coast Guard came and got the rest of them. They're all safe now. The ship is called the Nalani, and it had 75,000 gallons of diesel fuel on board, and this fuel is it's already leaking out, and there was about a 1 mile by 50-foot red diesel sheen that's been observed on the surface of the ocean. Um, they seen the sheen about 7 miles from the Honolulu airport. It's a little bit further down the coast over here. Right. There's people in Nanakuli and in the White Plains who are reporting the smell of diesel from their locations. NOAA relocated and rescued 3 monk seals, and about $50,000 was used, or that it's allocated for the cleanup of this oil spill. So my theory is political ecology, and Robbins says that political ecology is a field that seeks to maintain sustainable outcomes more possible and imaginable, but also to critique and undermine the foundations of environmental injustice and destruction. In his first book, he writes that politics are inevitably ecological and ecology is inherently political. And it's kind of hard to get Paul Robbins to tell you what political ecology is. He usually tells us what political ecology is not. So my analysis before the oil spill, I'm gonna talk a little bit about the climate. Um, it's dry. It's about 67 to 90 degrees on average. There's occasional Kona winds, about 10 to 20 knots. The rainfall is about 14 inches on average. Topography is generally level. The soil is classified as a coral outcrop, um, consisting of coral or cemented calcareous sand. The vegetation is void in the area because there's been previous development in the area around the pier and it's been disturbed, so plant cover is limited to introduced species. Barber's Point overlies the Cap Caprock Aquifer, and the water there is not potable, you can't drink it. Turbidity levels, or the clarity in the water, they exceed the state water quality standards, which means they don't meet the standards, they're actually worse. And the wildlife, like reef fish and algae and non-coral invertebrates, are really scarce in the area. So there's a poor marine ecosystem, and studies show low coral abundance. Some actors, society, of course, governmental institutions, of course, um, the Department of Business, Economic Development and Tourism, DLNR, Department of Transportation, specifically the Harbors Division, enterprises, offshore supplying of oil, Hawaii Harbors Users Group, Kalaeloa Barbers Point Harbor, UH, and the United States. So some reasons include their emergency plans in case an oil spill. There's just not a priority for boaters knowingly carrying an excess amount of fuel on board. And usually there's money or insurance offered, but no real groundwork done to clean up their mess. And there's this high economic pressure to have a harbor and to have a place for um to refuel. There's this global demand for a place to refuel, and there's a tight relationship between the oil industry and the state of Hawaii. So my analysis after the oil spill: ecology, constant oil pollution, or water pollution, awful marine ecosystem, great offshore supply of oil. Basically, the ecology and the actors are still the same. Nothing really changed significantly after this oil spill, but Oahu faces a lot of other pollution issues, oil pollution issues. I'm gonna talk about a few of them. Um, Diesel fuel spill in the Alawai Canal happened about 9 months ago. Barbers Point again, there's another oil spill. During a change out of a hose, the I guess there's an accidental leak at Barbers Point in October last year. September 2013, there was a molasses spill over here at the Honolulu Harbor. And then, of course, there's the USS Arizona at Pearl Harbor that has been consistently leaking oil since 1941. And I'm going to talk about these last two a little more in depth. So I'm going to compare the molasses spill with oil spills. Back in September 2013, about 1,400 tons of molasses was spilled from Matson's faculty pipe at the Honolulu Harbor, and hundreds of fish were found dead. So what happens is that oil and water, they don't mix, but molasses and water does mix, which is actually a good thing. Bacteria can break down molasses faster than oil can. Than it can oil. And the reason is because a molasses spill can be cleaned up faster by natural process, because molasses dissolves in the water and bacteria is able to digest those sugars, but only specialized type of bacteria can break down oil. And it's harder for bacteria to access the oil because it doesn't dissolve in water like molasses can. And there's just fewer types of bacteria that can degenerate the compounds found in oils. So the USS Arizona, back in 1941, during the attack of Pearl Harbor, it sank and it's been sitting at the bottom of the ocean in Pearl Harbor. It was carrying about 1.2 million gallons of fuel on board, weighing about 4,000 tons. The damage from the bombs and the deterioration over time caused the hull to leak, and oil has been coming out from the fuel tanks stored from the bunkers. The ship continues to leak oil, and it may never stop leaking oil. It reaches the surface like just drops at a time, and so it's a small leak, but there's so much oil that it's gonna take a long time, and like I said, it might never stop. And the type of oil that it's leaking is very viscous and heavy, and it's not like the oil that we find in our cars. And it's because there's so much of it, it's just too risky to try and pump it out. But what scientists are doing is they created a model that simulates the USS Arizona and the rate of deterioration, and so they can use this model and they can compare or look at other shipwrecks in the Pacific and what potential issues there may be. This is a short video that shows the oil leaking from the USS Arizona. That's my project. I'm just gonna leave you guys off with this cartoon showing the real cost of gas. Um, that's all. Thank you.